Hey there, story lovers! I hope you're all doing great. My name's Matt, and today we're diving into some gripping Reddit tales. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and maybe ringing that notification bell. Let's jump into the first story. Lots of love to you all. Our first tale comes from the Am I the Jerk subreddit, posted by user MysteryMind123, titled, Am I the Jerk for Refusing to Recover at Home After Surgery, I, 29F? Am deeply upset with my husband, 30M, and absolutely livid with his mother, let's call her overbearing, age undisclosed. Apologies for the lengthy post. I'm using a throwaway for privacy. Background, my husband hails from the West Coast where his mom still resides. He relocated to the East Coast for college where we met post-graduation. Early in our relationship, his mom would visit 3 to 4 times annually, expecting him to take time off work to entertain her. After a couple of years while we were dating, I pointed out that his vacation days were being used up on her visits, leaving no time for us to travel together. We agreed to save his leave for a Europe trip we took in 2023, and he promised to stop taking time off for her every visit. At my previous job, I worked from home most days, and whenever she visited, she'd mope around until my husband got home, then instantly perk up, becoming overly attached. The issue. 6 months ago, my husband and I moved to a new state, closer to my family. My new doctor recommended a surgery my old doctor had delayed, a straightforward procedure that would vastly improve my life for years to come. My mother-in-law decided it was time for a visit to explore our new town and help while I recovered. I wasn't thrilled about dealing with her vibe post-surgery, but we agreed she'd come to assist with chores, cooking, cleaning, laundry, so I could focus on healing. We made it clear this wasn't a sightseeing trip. A proper visit could happen later. My husband dropped me off at the hospital on Wednesday for the surgery, which included an overnight stay for monitoring. On Thursday, the doctor said my test results weren't ideal and recommended another night's observation with new labs in the morning. I called my husband to update him, expecting to be home Friday. He didn't visit Thursday. On Friday, I was cleared to leave and called him to say I'd be ready in an hour. His phone went to voicemail. Assuming he was in a meeting, I tried again later. After multiple unanswered calls over an hour, I reached out to my sister who, thankfully, got time off work. Huge thanks to her kind boss. She drove 19 minutes to pick me up and took me home. The house was a disaster. Laundry piled on the table, the cat's litter box untouched since Wednesday, dirty dishes stacked in the sink. I broke down in tears. My sister packed a bag for me and took me to her place to recover for 2 weeks. That night, my husband called, asking where I was, saying the hospital told him I'd been discharged. Apparently, he'd been hiking with his mom in an area with no cell service, missing my calls. He'd also taken time off work for her visit, despite our agreement. I get that I can't control his time off, but wouldn't you prioritize being there for your spouse in the hospital over a hike with your mom? I told him I wasn't comfortable recovering at home until it was spotless and his mother was gone. He called me the jerk, saying his mom just wanted to explore the new area and I was making a fuss since I couldn't leave the hospital anyway. I snapped, saying he'd essentially abandoned me to entertain someone who was supposed to be there to help, not add stress. Maybe it's the pain meds talking, but am I wrong here? Is this a pointless battle? Part of me is considering consulting a divorce lawyer to explore my options, as I doubt this will ever change. I know this sounds selfish, but I want kids someday. Right now, I can't imagine having them with my husband if this is how things are. If this marriage won't work, I don't want to waste years in therapy or miss the chance to find someone who can be a devoted partner and father before being a son. Thanks to everyone who read this. After the first paragraph, I thought, here's another mama's boy issue. This guy left you stranded at the hospital post-surgery while you called repeatedly for a ride. That's not just a mix-up. He made choices showing who matters most. Taking time off to hike with his mom instead of supporting his recovering wife speaks volumes. He went off grid when he knew you were being discharged and didn't call back until hours later. That's inexcusable. Let his mom keep him. You're not overreacting by thinking about divorce, and you're definitely not the jerk. Comments. Starry Night says, being unreachable while your spouse is in the hospital is appalling. He must have seen your missed calls and voicemails. Didn't he hear you saying you were ready to be picked up? Lone Wolf 22 calls it unforgivable, adding, the state of the house on top of that? I wouldn't come back from this. Sunny Skies says, as your next of kin, he'd be making medical decisions if you couldn't consent. This guy isn't worth the air he breathes. Another user rages, what the heck? He's the jerk. His mom's the jerk. You're not the jerk. They add, "This isn't a trivial hill to die on. You're alone on that hill because he's off hiking with his mom, ignoring you. See a lawyer? He failed you when you needed him most." A month later, OP updated. "I posted about my husband leaving me at the hospital to entertain his mom. Here's the update. We're done. I'm still at my sister's and my boss is letting me work remotely due to the commute. I've secured an apartment near my job, moving in July. Thank you all for your responses. They were overwhelming but eye-opening. I initially worried I'd painted my husband unfairly, but you all snapped me out of it. We talked daily the first week I was away. He sent his mom home so I'd feel comfortable returning, but I needed space and went to grab more things. When he saw me packing with empty suitcases, he realized I wasn't coming back soon. We talked, and I said we needed to separate. He argued his mom only visits a few weeks a year and things are fine otherwise. I explained that I'm not okay with him dismissing my feelings to cater to her, and the resentment lingers long after she leaves. I hate myself for letting it happen repeatedly. He suggested couples therapy again, but I reminded him it failed before. Our therapist set boundaries, but he let his mom trample them, leaving me unsupported. I may have been harsh, saying I'm turning 30 and want a family, but I can't trust him to prioritize me or our future kids if he can't even be there post-surgery. I asked what happens when his mom retires and claims she's frail. Will he move in with her regardless of my feelings? He said, "I'm all she has." That hit hard. This isn't the life I envisioned. He asked if he was a bad husband. I lied, saying no, but he's not the husband I need. He needs a wife okay with being second to his mom or no wife at all. As I left, his mom called me. I sent it to voicemail and laughed. My sister asked why, and I said, he ran to his mommy to tattle. Papers are filed, and it's been amicable so far. Fingers crossed. Comments. One user says, "Good for you for standing up for yourself." Another adds, "He called his mom right away? Congrats on leaving that mama's boy." A commenter notes, "If you needed proof you made the right call, him tattling to his mom seals it." Ocean Breeze says, "He's a great husband to his mom, a terrible one to you. You made the right choice. It's sad he didn't have a wake-up moment, but what do you think? Share your thoughts below, and let's move to the next story." This next tale was shared on our subreddit, r Matt Tales, by StoryFan88, who said, "If Matt hasn't covered this, I'd love for him to read it and keep up with this woman's journey. I hope she escapes this mess." The story, from a throwaway account, is titled, "Am I the Jerk for Wanting a Promotion?" When my boyfriend says it's not the life he wants, I, 25F, was offered a massive promotion at work, moving from coordinator for one department to global coordinator. It's a huge leap in duties and pay. I've been promoted yearly for 3 years, but this role is beyond what I imagined achieving so soon. It's a game changer for my finances and career. The catch? It involves some travel, about 4 weeks a year, 1 week per global office, Europe, Asia, South America, as the company aims to cut travel costs. My boyfriend, 32 million, isn't okay with this. He didn't outright demand I decline, but when I brought it up again after he shared his discomfort, he said if I push for something he's uneasy about, I must know what I want and should just leave. That stung. I understand his perspective. He wants a stable, family-oriented life, and has been clear about that. I've been upfront about not wanting kids until 30, but I've grown to value his priorities too. Still, I've always dreamed of a thriving career. I've worked tirelessly for this, and teenage me would be floored by this opportunity. I don't want to choose between love and ambition. I care about him, but I can't pass up something I've worked so hard for, only to wonder, what if? Am I the jerk for wanting both? Comments. Pet Lover says, "Take the promotion. Your boyfriend can decide if he stays, but don't dim your ambitions for him. You're young. Seize this chance for your career and future. If you want a family later, you can balance both with the right partner." Career First adds, "Now's the time to build your career before kids. You'll regret and resent him if you pass this up. 4 weeks isn't much without kids. Is he intimidated by your success? He should be cheering you on." Wise One says, "Not the jerk. You're 25, he's 32. You're at different life stages. He's ready to settle. You're still building. If you give up your career now, you'll resent him. Take the job and keep climbing. If he's not there later, someone better will be." Survivor Spirit says, "Not the jerk." His reaction is a red flag. You've been clear about delaying kids, and this promotion is huge. 4 weeks of travel is nothing, yet he's telling you to leave if you don't obey? That's controlling. A supportive partner would celebrate this win, protect your birth control. His behavior screams manipulation. They add, if you decline, you'll resent him. His ultimatum is toxic. OP's first update. Thank you all for your thoughtful responses. I'm overwhelmed by the support from strangers online. It's helped me see clearly. I tried to find a compromise with him, explaining the travel is only 10% of my work time, confirmed by my manager. But now he's raising other issues, not just the travel. He doesn't like me adjusting hours for global time zones, even if it's just 1 day a week. He's worried about the people I'll meet, especially men, at client dinners or staying in hotels alone. He won't join every trip and doesn't want me dining with clients while he waits in a hotel. He gets upset if I don't call during breaks, respond to texts instantly, or share my daily calendar. He's upset by any work-related talk with men, colleagues, vendors, trainers, and insists I report every interaction. His rules. No befriending male coworkers, no casual or playful messages, no emojis, no after-work hangouts, no sharing personal numbers without his approval. 2 weeks ago, I attended a 3-day training in another city, commuting 4 hours daily because he didn't want me staying in a hotel. When a colleague suggested a professional group chat, I forgot to mention it immediately. He got mad, made me show him the chat at 1 a.m. He's jealous of my work life because I had a male coworker friend before we met, whom I had to block. I've never given him reason to doubt me. Sometimes I consider quitting my career for a simple job to stop his control. But I love what I do. I'm so grateful to have found my passion. Second update. Sorry for the long post, but to those wondering how I missed this, I think it was gaslighting. I never thought I'd say that, but 10,000 strangers made me see how messed up my life is. At first, everything felt perfect. Early on, I noticed his possessiveness, but it seemed sweet compared to my last distant boyfriend. I'm avoidant by nature, so his clinginess felt intense, but I adjusted. Within 6 months, he'd pushed out all my male friends. After we moved in together, he micromanaged my life. If he was at work for 13 hours without his phone, he demanded a detailed log of my day, where I went, what I did. He limited my family visits to when he was working, so I wouldn't waste our time. I had to tag along to his hangouts, sitting silently while he chatted with friends. He critiqued my appearance, too thin, too heavy post-surgery, pushing me to be a gym couple. He vetted my outfits, calling modest clothes inappropriate if light hit them wrong. He said I was too pale, dressed better for work than home. He monitored my work emails, messages, phone, insisting I explain every male interaction. He took over my time. It felt like my life was his. I left twice, returning to my parents, but came back both times. Since moving in, I've had health issues, IBS, acne, hair loss, infections, migraines. My body was screaming what my brain couldn't accept. Get out. Some may judge me, but I didn't see it. I thought this was normal, that he'd change. He yelled, threw water, punched walls. I wasn't honest either. I hid gym visits, vaping, helping my parents, because his reactions were explosive. I felt I deserved it for lying, but I want to break free. Your comments woke me up. Tomorrow, I'm meeting my therapist from our couples sessions to plan a safe exit. I'm scared, but this has to end. I'm so glad OP saw through the manipulation thanks to Reddit's wake-up call. It's easy to say she should have left sooner, but when abuse is normalized, it's hard to see until it's pointed out. I hope she escapes safely. What do you think of this situation? Share below. Huge thanks for joining me today. Your support means everything. See you in the next one. Take care, much love.